Greetings fellow cultivators. Welcome to Audio Nova. Remember to like and subscribe to support the journey. Today, we're diving into the story of what's the point of cultivating immortality if you don't have money. Just then, Xiong heard Ye Lingxiao beside him say, "Your valuation in the last Tao heart test was actually unknown." Xiong was slightly stunned, and then looked in the direction of the speaker, finding Zhang Yu behind him, whose number was indeed 55. Hearing Ye Lingxiao's question, Zhang Yu was silent for a moment, not knowing what to say. Xiong said from the side, "Unknown valuation, could it be that you didn't give up until the end, and even burst the illusion? So they gave you an unknown valuation?" Zhang Yu said helplessly, "Well, something like that." Hearing this, Ye Lingxiao's eyes narrowed, and the look in his eyes towards Zhang Yu already carried a hint of importance. Ye Lingxiao thought to himself, this person can actually burst the illusion? How strong is his will? How rich is he? Is he richer than Yinjing, richer than me? On the other side, Xiong's brain was also frantically thinking, what is his background? Is he the descendant of a company director? Or the heir of some local wealthy family? At the same time, more and more people noticed the number 55 on Zhang Yu's body, realizing that this out-of-town student was the first place in the last Tao heart test. And because of the special nature of this Tao heart test, they realized that this first place must be wealthy and possess amazing riches. And wealth, as the most direct manifestation of immortal Tao potential, the wealthy number 55 must also be powerful, and definitely a strong candidate for the Foundation Establishment Qualification Certificate. Ye Lingxiao looked at Zhang Yu and thought to himself, originally, judging from the way he picked up red envelope talismans and what he said, I thought he was a poor person. Unexpectedly, he is hiding his strength. Could it be that he dares to pick up red envelopes on the ground because he is rich enough? He also seems to care about what poor people should do if they pick up red envelope talismans. Is he the kind of inexperienced rich person? While thinking, Ye Lingxiao turned around and looked at Zhang Yu with increasing seriousness in his eyes. I look forward to competing with you later. At this moment, Zhang Yu, whose identity was mysterious and whose wealth was unfathomable, had become one of his main future opponents in Ye Lingxiao's eyes. Xiong and the other students, looking at the two people facing each other, felt as if they were seeing two behemoths spitting out billions of fortunes, colliding fiercely. Bai Zhenjin witnessed this scene, and secretly felt anxious while looking at Zhang Yu. You're acting so big now, if you reveal your true colors when the official competition starts, you'll become the kind of clown Zhao is always talking about. Bai Zhenjin was confident that she and Zhang Yu had made a lot of progress in the past 2 months and definitely had high school senior level. But she also knew that even with so much progress, she and Zhang Yu still had a gap with those top immortal capital young masters. Facing the first round of exams, Bai Zhenjin only hoped to pass. As for catching up with and even surpassing the top immortal capital young masters, that should be the goal in the next few months, during the second and third rounds of exams. How could Zhang Yu not know this? But when his number was posted as the first place in the Tao heart test, he understood that he couldn't explain it. He couldn't possibly say that he was able to hold on until the end in the illusion, because of the influence of the ritual. Even less could he say that he was actually a poor ghost, who was still trying to figure out how to pay off his loan interest next month. So, facing Ye Lingxiao's pressing gaze, feeling the curious, exploratory, or hostile gazes of the contestants around him, Zhang Yu felt like he was being watched by a group of people like tigers eyeing their prey, but he could only hold on. Damn it, shouldn't I be catching up with the immortal capital young masters step by step under their contempt and even disregard, and finally win the Foundation Establishment Certificate? Why are they all staring at me from the beginning? I said they shouldn't have rankings. Why expose the privacy of the contestants like this? Thinking that he would have to compete head-on with this group of people next, Zhang Yu only felt that the clown position that Zhao Tianqing mentioned was calling him. Is there any way to keep me from embarrassing myself too much later? Forget it, it can't be helped if I have to lose some face, who told me I'm not strong enough now. And not far away, Yu Xing'an had just arrived and saw this surprising scene. Zhang Yu, this kid. Yu Xing'an looked at Zhang Yu, his heart full of curiosity and surprise. How did he do it? Thinking that the other party could actually hold on until an unknown valuation in that illusion as a poor person, he couldn't figure it out no matter how he thought about it. He even had the urge to ask Zhang Yu, but he also understood that the other party would not answer this secret. And after a while, as all the contestants arrived, Deng Bingding, as the chief examiner, began to announce the examination process. In short, it was to understand the reform spirit of the foundation establishment examination. In addition to Dao Heart, this time the students' mana, physical education, and martial arts would be examined in turn. As for why Dao Heart was not tested, it was said that the unqualified ones had been eliminated in the previous round of Dao Heart testing, so there was no need to test again. Of course, the little god Huang Ziku standing aside knew that this was done to save the budget. After all, compared to the other three subjects, Dao Heart testing involved the environment of the spirit world, and whether it was the money spent or the resources consumed, it was the most. Finally, Deng Bingding said, "This round of exams will only keep the top 20 contestants in total score, and all contestants, after the 20th place will be eliminated. To encourage students, each of the top 20 contestants will be rewarded with an expert level, cultivation, technique." Hearing this, Zhang Yu's eyes lit up slightly. An expert level, cultivation, technique, for each person. So generous. Zhang Yu still remembered that the bonus Deng Bingding approved for him last time was still an interest-free loan. But after thinking about it, he thought to himself, the 8 gods of righteousness are backed by the heavenly court and the 10 great sects. For us, expert-level cultivation techniques cost tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands. But for them, maybe it's just a permission. After all, as long as they approve our right to use it, and then send us the content of the cultivation technique. Soon the mana exam officially began. All the students on the scene lined up in the hall, according to their numbers. Then several examiners distributed a set of testing equipment and a box of spirit roots to everyone present. Dai Xingji thought to himself, this mana exam tests the control, burst, and recovery of mana. He picked up a detection patch and thought, I have to output mana into it as much as possible within 30 minutes. The faster and more mana output in 30 minutes, the higher the score. This requires both explosive power and precise control of mana, and also requires breathing spirit energy to restore mana while outputting mana. Dai Xingji knew that this ability to burst mana for a long time should be an immortal Dao course learned in the senior year of high school according to the high school curriculum. But since it is a foundation establishment exam for high school students, it will naturally not be limited to the mere curriculum. The newest novels are first published on Li 9 SHB 69 Shuba. Zais. Dai Xingji opened the small box next to him containing the external spirit root. He saw a circular ring constantly emerging strands of spirit energy, breathing like a living thing. Dai Xingji thought to himself, external spirit root, Qi Si boundless. Mid-range brand external spirit root. Dai Xingji recalled what the examiner had just said, and knew that using a unified spirit root like this was one of the reform contents of this foundation establishment exam. Dai Xingji disapproved of this. Wealth is one of the potentials of immortal Dao. It is right for rich people to have more advantages. Why use a unified spirit route? Just then, Deng Bingding reminded before carrying the external spirit root. Everyone remembers to turn off the spirit root in your body, otherwise you will be responsible for the consequences. Dai Xingji was about to put on the external spirit root, Qi Si boundless, when he suddenly heard a male voice. How do you use this external spirit root? Dai Xingji turned his head and saw that the speaker was actually number 55. They actually distributed spirit roots uniformly. Zhang Yu thought to himself, but this external spirit route doesn't even give instructions, who knows how to use it? And if I ask this, the group of immortal capital young masters around me will probably guess that I'm not that rich, right? It can also be regarded as paving the way for myself first. On the other side, Bai Zhenjin heard this and thought to herself, good job, Yuzi, if you ask this, I don't have to ask. By the way, build a platform for yourself and slowly reveal the fact that you are not that rich. Even if the results are not as good as everyone imagined later, you can lose less face. And Dai Xingji heard this and thought to himself, he hasn't even used Qi Si boundless. Thinking of the unknown valuation of the other party's first place in the Dao Heart test, Dai Xingji thought, is it because Qi Si boundless is too low end for him? Damn it, it's already considered a normal cultivation spirit route for me. Does this guy usually disdain to use it? What kind of spirit route does he usually use? Dai Xingji thought to himself, damn rich people, it's a good thing this time we are using a unified spirit route for the exam. Yunjing, the strongest high school student on the other side, flashed his eyes, looked at Zhang Yu, and thought to himself, this out-of-towner. Is he flaunting his wealth here? Saying he hasn't used Qi boundless? Yunjing snorted coldly in his heart, and also said, I don't usually use this kind of spirit root either, please teach me, examiner. So rich people don't usually use this spirit route either. Zhang Yu thought to himself, TSK, troublesome. Why do I feel like more eyes are on me? According to the method introduced by the examiners, he injected mana and enlarged the ring before putting it on his hand. Zhang Yu felt that the external spirit root was vibrating with his breathing, as if it had become a part of his body, and the surrounding spirit energy immediately swarmed in. Next, he put on the detection equipment and gripped the detection patch tightly. Along with the 3, 2, 1 countdown, the contestants on the scene all output mana into the detection patch. Boom. There seemed to be a loud noise in the air, as the mana of the crowd circulated. At the same time, on the light curtain in front of the hall, the mana output data representing each person lit up. It was a row of bar graphs, with the number of each contestant below each bar and the mana number above the bar. At this moment, as everyone frantically output mana, each bar was constantly growing, and sorted according to the size of the mana output. But because the growth of 2 bars was too fierce, not only did they squeeze to the first and second place at once, but also because of the exaggerated growth, the bars of other contestants seemed to be shrinking. The contestants represented by these 2 bars were Yunjing of number 11, and Xiong of number 23. It could be seen that the mana numbers of the 2 were soaring all the way, and the 2 bars were like 2 giant dragons, entangled back and forth in the first and second positions, chasing each other. At the same time, Dai Xingji looked at the bar of number 55 inches high. Why is it ranked so far behind? At this moment, within the examination hall, the four-directional wandering god, Deng Bingding, was seated in the center, while other lesser gods, such as Huang Ziku, wandered throughout the examination hall, monitoring the condition of each examinee and maintaining order. In addition to the bar graph data on the light screen in front, they also monitored the mana detection data on each of the contestants. Through the detection patches on the contestants' bodies, they could constantly understand the flow of mana throughout the students' bodies, easily see the students' control over the surrounding mana, and whether there was any cheating. However, although the true gods appeared expressionless, not saying a word, they were actually filled with countless thoughts and were constantly multitasking. After all, for the 8 divisions of true gods, multitasking and working remotely were commonplace, as natural as breathing. And besides multitasking, socializing was also an essential part of being a god. After all, compared to mortals who needed things like mobile phones and the internet to communicate, as the 8 divisions of true gods, their minds were constantly connected to the network, and there were no excuses for being unable to connect, inconvenient communication, or just seeing the message. Just like at this moment, while monitoring the examination hall, the thoughts of the gods present were also intermingling in the network, constantly communicating the situation of the examination hall. Deng Bingding said, "This is the first Foundation Establishment examination in the Kengshu layer, after the reform of the Foundation Establishment examination. Everyone, stand your ground, guard this responsibility, and after the examination is over, I will personally request merit for everyone." Huang Ziku was the first to reply, "Lord Deng, you speak well. We feel at ease with you presiding over the overall situation this time." While the gods on the scene were communicating together, Deng Bingding could also receive private chats from the lesser gods. Alas, it's all favor talismans again. These formalities of the true gods. However, seeing that Huang's issue's amount was actually 20,000, Deng Bingding couldn't help but glance at him. After discovering that the other party was also looking at her, Deng Bingding smiled and nodded. Lord Deng is smiling at me. Huang Ziku thought to himself, delighted. Could it be that the amount of the favor talisman was wrong last time? Huang Ziku secretly noted this amount in his heart, thinking, for us gods, money is the most important thing. The so-called sending money before discussing matters, although I haven't thought about what I want to ask for yet, I can send the money first. At the same time, he heard a lesser god say, Yunjing and Xiong are indeed in a league of their own. Judging from the mana monitoring data, the mana in their bodies is like the Yangtze River, surging endlessly. This kind of control and burst of mana is indeed the strongest on the scene. Another god said, the investment in these 2 people is enough to support all the high school students in some high schools. In terms of strength, They can no longer be regarded as ordinary key refining stage cultivators. I just don't know who will be the real strongest high school student in the Kungshu layer, in this battle of dragons and tigers between the two. On the examination hall. With each breath, Yunjing felt the mana in his body surge wildly, constantly pouring into the detection patch in the palm of his hand, through his arm. But looking at Ye Lingxiao, who was on par with him on the light screen, Yunjing shouted in his heart, "Mana! Get up faster for me!" Under his frantic squeeze, the mana in his body crashed against his meridians like a flood, almost disregarding the possible damage to his body, wantonly impacting, and impacting again. It was only because every meridian in Yunjing's body had been intercepted and handed over to dozens of college graduates for repeated cultivation and tempering according to 300 different project plans, and could withstand the limit mana operation of the key refining stage for a long time. It could be said that each of his meridians consumed several months of hard work from a college graduate. The total workload of this body of meridians added up to tens of thousands of working men days, equivalent to 20 or 30 years of key refining stage cultivation for ordinary people. And besides the meridians, a large amount of Yunjing's cultivation was divided into one project after another in this way, and completed by excellent college graduates under the family's precise planning. The warm-up is almost over. Yunjing felt the mana in his body becoming more and more turbulent, and shouted in his heart, "Second Dantian, open for me." He saw that in addition to the lower Dantian, a sea of ki in his chest also suddenly activated, and the flow of mana immediately soared by 1 times, rushing out like roaring dragons. On the light screen, the pillar representing Yunjing suddenly soared, instantly widening the gap between him and everyone else, firmly occupying the first place. Seeing this scene, Ye Lingxiao's expression remained unchanged, and there was no trace of panic on his face. He thought to himself, what a nuisance, it's not the final, shouldn't I keep some strength in reserve? Ye Lingxiao knew that, theoretically speaking, he only needed to occupy the second position at this moment, to pass the exam. There was no need to waste effort and expose his strength, to grab the first place. But, first place. For Ye Lingxiao, who had always scored full marks in exams and ranked first since he was a child. Taking first place was like eating and drinking, it had become a habit. In order to inherit the perfect bloodline of the Xiong clan, he was not conceived by a mother, but was in a celestial element uterus from the embryonic stage, receiving celestial modulation. When he opened his eyes for the first time, his meridians were already twice as wide as ordinary people, and now they were more than 10 times the average of high school students. At the same time, the richness of his nerves was also more than 100 times that of ordinary people, and his entire nervous system was naturally able to mobilize mana. The mana techniques that other students had to work hard to practice, he learned after entering the first year of high school. He could learn any cultivation technique with just one look, and he had to spend millions every month to buy the right to use the cultivation techniques. Cultivation in the key refining stage had always been without any difficulty for him. Many people said that he and mortals were no longer the same species, and that he was the real celestial bloodline. Ye Lingxiao didn't care about this. But there was one thing he was used to. That was that the first place belonged to him, and always belonged to him. Million-level expert martial art, Thunderbolt Heavenly Astral Key Level 10 promotion. As a martial art with a usage right price of over 1 million, known as being close to military grade, a thunderous sound came as soon as the Thunderbolt Heavenly Astral Key was activated. At this moment, Ye Lingxiao was also like a thunder god, his whole body overflowing with electric light, and every trace of mana turned into lightning. However, this wisp of lightning mana, under his control, was as nimble as an arm directing a finger. Not only did it not damage the environment or the testing equipment, but it shot out like bolts of lightning, accurately passing through his arm and palm, and was ultimately blasted into the testing patch. At the same time, on the light screen, the pillar representing Ye Lingxiao, which had been gradually shrinking under Yunjing's influence, instantly enlarged again, constantly chasing after the first place. HMPH. Yunjing watched the changes in the bar graph, sneering in his heart, "You want to catch up? Then try it. Let's see which of us is the strongest high school student in Kungshu right now." As the fierce competition between the two caused a stir, the students behind them also desperately erupted their mana, vying for the subsequent rankings, making the entire exam even more intense. Huang Ziku looked at the rankings on the light screen, watching the dozen or so contestants closely following Yun, Jing, and Yeling Xiao, and analyze the students behind are chasing each other very closely. Another god said, after all, they are all students from Xiandu, the top high school students, in the first layer of Kongshu. Even those ranked outside the top 10 have more than 90 units of mana. Just as the lesser gods were discussing, Deng Dingding turned his gaze to the scores of number 55, number 56, and number 31, which were Zhang Yu, Bai Zhenjin, and Yu Xing'an from Songyang. Since the last Tao Heart test, Deng Dingding had paid attention to these three Songyang students, and afterwards, he had also checked the three's information. At this moment, while watching the performance of the three, the information of the three flashed in her mind. Yu Xing'an, number 31, is a golden core disciple. Although his mana has not yet reached 90, and he cannot keep up with the level of the top dozen or so, his mana control is not bad. At this moment, with a burst of power, he can be ranked 17th. The newest and fastest novel is on 69shu.com. At this moment, Yu Xing'an's third eye in his mind had completely opened, constantly helping him merge the mana in his body, but no matter how he exercised, he found that he could only maintain the 17th position. The 16 ahead are also constantly accelerating, it's too difficult to catch up, and this is only 16th. Thinking that under the personal guidance of realist Xinghe, he had cultivated his mana control through repeated palm and fist force confrontations, but now he can only rank 17th with all his strength, Yu Xing'an couldn't help but smile bitterly in his heart. Sure enough, if I want to pass the Foundation Establishment Certificate exam, I still have to wait for the next time. On the other side, Deng Dingding's gaze swept towards Bai Zhenjin. Bai Zhenjin, number 56, a poor genius who soared to the sky after being invested in by someone. And the name of that investor, according to my understanding from the local gods in Songyang, is Zhang Pianpian. The same investor as Zhang Yu. Are these two poor people also involved with the higher-ups? Deng Dingding didn't dare to think too much, only telling herself to pretend she didn't know anything, and treat the two as ordinary candidates. Coming back to her senses, looking at Bai Zhenjin's mana detection data, Deng Dingding seemed to be able to see the mana in the other party's body surging outwards like waves, erupting with a turbulent flow in the meridians. Expert level breathing technique surging whale 9 revolutions, level 10 boost. This expert level breathing technique emphasizes continuous generation. After 9 revolutions of mana, it can attract more mana. It is a technique where the longer the breathing, the stronger the effect. After Bai Zhenjin's true spirit root deduction, this surging wave 9 revolutions level 10 effect has one more layer, which is that during the 9 revolutions of mana, the running speed of mana becomes faster and faster, like surging waves, becoming more and more fierce. At this moment, with the help of this surging wave, 9 revolutions, and its deduction effect, Bai Zhenjin barely stood in 19th place. But at this moment, after 9 revolutions of mana, the running speed has faintly exceeded the limit that Bai Zhenjin can control. She feels as if she is a small boat in a raging wave, and may be overturned by the runaway mana at any time. But the more dangerous it is, under the operation of the cold soul ice heart technique, Bai Zhenjin feels that her brain is clearer, and her grasp of mana operation is more profound. At this moment, she is single-minded, with almost no mental attention to the outside world, and is fully operating the surging wave of 9 revolutions, on the verge of losing control. Deng Dingding looked at the monitoring data from Bai Zhenjin, and commented in her heart, if the mana goes berserk, once it loses control, it will be a serious injury. Another adventurous student. She was already accustomed to this. After all, if the students of Kongshu don't take out loans, don't get injured, and don't get sick, that would be a miracle. Which top student has not reached this point today, through repeated adventures? Finally, Deng Dingding looked at Zhang Yu. 21st place. Deng Dingding thought to herself he didn't even make it into the top 20. Zhang Yu, who was desperately operating his mana, also felt surprised that he didn't even make it into the top 20. Although today's exam eliminates players after the top 20 in total score, ranking outside the top 20 in the mana exam does not necessarily mean elimination. But obviously, ranking after 20th place is still a very unfavorable result. Sure enough, they are very strong, the high school students of Xiandu. Zhang Yu still remembered that after he cultivated the heavenly cycle key gathering method to level 10, his mana control was already very strong. And when he later cultivated the Wuji cloud hand to level 10, He thought that his mana control could already be compared with that of a senior high school student. But at this moment, looking at his ranking, Xiong Yu suddenly realized something. His control over mana has not improved for too long. After all, most of my energy in the past few months has been put into body refinement. Indeed, my mana control is at the level of a senior high school student. But merely having mana control at the level of a senior high school student, in the absence of rapid bursts, is not enough to get into the top 20 in this exam. Pressure and crisis came head-on, and Xiong Yu felt as if a remnant bull was roaring to the sky in his mind, exuding endless fighting spirit. Pressure and desperation? It's not enough. Under the astonished gaze of many students and the gods present, Xiong Yu suddenly stopped the circulation of his magic power. Originally, the students on the scene were all pushing their limits, and except for the first and second place, the data between students was very close. So, with Xiong Yu's pause, the bar graph representing him was rapidly left behind, rushing towards the last place in the blink of an eye. Watching his ranking drop step by step, the fighting spirit in Xiong Yu's eyes grew stronger. The crippled ox he was visualizing in his mind also propped itself up on its crippled limbs and roared towards the sky, its broken horn emitting faint cold light. Come on, death leads to rebirth. Under the pressure Xiong Yu voluntarily put on himself, the boost provided by the crippled ox's self-sacrifice heart technique in the face of pressure and desperate situations was continuously amplified. Xiong Yu felt the magic power throughout his body become active, like oil being cooked over a raging fire, radiating unprecedented vitality. His brain started thinking at extreme speed, beginning to control the flow of magic power throughout his body. My magic power control is very strong, but I've always lacked training in magic power burst power. To make a breakthrough in this exam, I must fully utilize the advantage of my control. Thinking of this, a flash of inspiration appeared in Xiong Yu's mind. He thought of the dragon elephant crushing mountain palm, a general martial art that cost him 200,000 yuan. Just like the previous back dragon overturning mountain hand, the reason this pure physical martial art is called a general martial art is that it can accept the boost of any magic power and unleash formidable strength. The dragon elephant crushing mountain palm should be my strongest martial art for burst power. If I use magic power to drive this martial art. With a sudden bang, the magic power within Xiong Yu violently struck the detection patch in his palm. At the same time, he felt a stinging pain in his meridians. My meridians are still not strong enough. Since that's the case, I'll wrap my meridians with formless cloud gang, treating it as a new channel. And then use the dragon elephant crushing mountain palm to blast all that damn magic power out. Streams of formless cloud gang rose from Xiong Yu's dantian, instantly transforming into layers of subcutaneous gang ki, wrapping around his meridians and constructing a channel from his dantian to his palm. The next moment, a roar erupted within Xiong Yu. The explosive magic power surged along the channel, blasting out in an incredibly brutal manner. The pressure of a desperate situation, the boost from the crippled ox's self-sacrifice heart technique, the formless cloud gang acting as a track, and the magic power being released with the dragon elephant crushing mountain palm, each strike intensely vibrated the formless cloud gang within Xiong Yu. At this moment, Xiong Yu felt as if he had become a large cannon, using the formless cloud gang as the barrel, the dragon elephant crushing mountain palm as the gunpowder, and magic power as the bullets, firing shot after shot within himself. Boom. 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 But with this kind of operation, as Xiong Yu's magic power surged out, so, roughly and fiercely, his ranking instantly began to accelerate, charging forward wildly. 30th place. 28th place. 21st place. In the blink of an eye, Xiong Yu not only surged back to 21st place but was also continuously accelerating towards 20th place. Meanwhile, the student currently in 20th place was named Li Tongyan. When she saw the bar graph representing number 55 on the light screen constantly catching up to her, Li Tongyan felt immense pressure in her heart. Damn it. Why? Why have I been pushed to this point? Recalling her past achievement of being in the top 5 of her year at Xianyun High School, only to have her performance decline steadily over the past 6 months, reaching this point. A strong sense of unwillingness surfaced in Li Tongyan's heart. 6 months ago, her father was defeated in a company struggle, becoming a scapegoat, and was eventually kicked out of the company. With the severance pay long overdue, Her family faced the pressure of various loans, bills, and cultivation expenses. At that time, her parents' savings were only enough to cover 1 month's expenses. And to maintain her status among friends, classmates, and teachers, Li Tongyin dared not reveal this. She could only keep borrowing money, biting the bullet to maintain her image as a rich person. As the saying goes, when the bank account is empty, the loan account becomes full. As of today, Li Tongyin's bank account was already at minus 1.5 million. Even so, because of the lack of financial support, her cultivation failed to keep up with her classmates' continuous progress, causing her to instantly fall behind. After all, on the path of high school cultivation where everyone is progressing rapidly, once the speed of progress slows down, one will be left far behind. I can't lose. But if it were just this, although the gap was huge and she was gradually abandoned by her original circle of friends, at least she could still go to college and find a good job in the future. However, Li Tongyan knew things weren't that simple, because she couldn't afford to lose now. Back when her family's annual income was at its highest, when her grades reached the top 5 of her year at Xiong High School, when she was at her most complacent and proud, and considered getting into the top 10 universities a certainty, she and her father's company signed a betting contract. I must obtain the Foundation Establishment Qualification Certificate, otherwise, I will become a company asset. Looking at the approaching number 55, Li Tongyan felt as if the other party was an abyss representing endless despair, chasing her step by step, wanting to completely swallow her. I can't lose. With a roar in her heart, Li Tongyan pushed her magic power to full force. Accompanied by waves of meridian-tearing pain, she blasted out her magic power. But no matter how hard she tried, how desperately she fought, even pushing herself until blood flowed from her orifices, she could only watch helplessly as Zhang Yu surpassed her number step by step, pushing her down to 21st place. The moment he reached 20th place, Zhang Yu let out a sigh of relief, finally, made it up. As the pressure eased, Zhang Yu also voluntarily slowed down his magic power output. After all, his current brutal method couldn't be completely harmless to his body. While maintaining a position within the top 20, he also had to ensure his physical health. But soon Zhang Yu discovered that the 21st place was still chasing him. As the other party got closer and closer, the pressure grew greater, and Zhang Yu had no choice but to increase his magic power output again, trying hard to shake them off. Even with the protection of the formless cloud gong, such brutal magic power bombardment still gradually caused shock injuries to his body. Damn it, is this guy that persistent? Zhang Yu rubbed his slightly aching stomach, looking at the 21st place still chasing him. He remembered the other party's number was 36. Li Tongyin, bleeding from her orifices, and suffering meridian-tearing pain throughout her body, was also staring intently at number 55 on the light screen at this moment. Every time she got close to the other party, number 55 would always accelerate again, leaving her far behind. But after pulling away, the other party would slightly slow down, as if waiting for her to catch up again. Li Tongyin felt unwilling in her heart. Number 55, is that super rich outsider? Is he deliberately teasing me? Deliberately playing with me? She seemed to already see the other party looking at her with a malicious smile, watching her repeatedly struggle but never being able to catch up. Meanwhile, Dai Xingji on the other side, had also been observing the performance of number 55. When he saw number 55 voluntarily stop the circulation of magic, power, and drop to the last place in one go, he felt extremely puzzled. When he saw number 55 accelerate all the way back to 20th place, he thought the other party was about to start challenging for the top 3. But when he saw number 55 just stop at 20th place like that, he felt confused again. It wasn't until he watched number 55 remain consistently at 20th place, and saw number 36 chase up repeatedly, only to be shaken off repeatedly. A flash of realization appeared in Dai Xingji's eyes. He is just playing, isn't he? Seeing that the other party still stably maintained the 20th rank until the end of this round of the exam, Dai Xingji became even more certain of this point. Deliberately stuck at 20th place, not surpassing the one above him, yet controlling himself so as not to be surpassed by anyone. He's actually deliberately controlling his ranking in the Foundation Establishment exam. This is something only someone with absolute confidence in themselves can do. Dai Xingji looked in Zhang Yu's direction, thinking to himself, this guy. Just how rich is he? And he wasn't the only one on the scene with thoughts similar to Dai Xingji's. Yunjing, who ultimately secured second place, after watching Ye Lingxiao for a while, turned his head and glanced at Zhang Yuhmph to actually hide behind and play such tricks. Is he showing off his control? Or deliberately hiding his strength? After Ye Lingxiao secured first place, a hint of helplessness appeared on his face. He thought to himself, to think I couldn't resist snatching first place just by being slightly provoked. Indeed, I'm still a bit impatient. He looked in Zhang Yu's direction, thinking to himself, as for this guy, he can actually have a playful mindset even during the exam. At this moment, Zhang Yu also became more unfathomable in Ye Lingxiao's eyes. Especially since, in Ye Lingxiao's view, Zhang Yu must have hidden his strength in this round. An opponent whose depth was unknown made him feel even more threatened. This guy might be even more dangerous than Yunjing. Saying this, Ye Lingxiao already greeted Zhang Yu, playing well. Huh. Zhang Yu listened to the greeting, his eyes filled with confusion. What are you saying I'm playing well at? Is this kid provoking me? Seeing me struggling desperately in 20th place, so he came over to mock me? How to describe this feeling? Zhang Yu decided that after returning, he would never again praise Zhao Tianqing for having good boxing skills during class. Damn, these words actually sound so unpleasant. It's full of passive aggression. Bai Zhenzhen, who was beside him, comforted him. Yuzi, being looked down upon, also has its advantages. That way, when you surpass them later, it'll be even more impressive. Surpassing these rich people, that's our privilege as poor people. These top-tier Immortal City young masters haven't had this kind of experience since birth. Clearly, in Bai Zhenzhen's view, Ye Lingxiao's words and actions, just now, were also full of provocation, mockery, disdain, and contempt. But Zhang Yu didn't feel comforted at all after hearing Bai Zhenzhen's words. Damn it, there are still 2 rounds of this exam. That guy won't continue to be passive-aggressive towards me, will he? Didn't I just criticize him for throwing red envelopes around randomly? Does he need to hold such a grudge? And with the end of the magic power exam, the many students next welcomed the physical body exam. They only heard Deng Bingding say a person's body, cultivation, can be reflected in various aspects. And there is one point that a person cannot live without, every day, and cannot fake. That is appetite. The stronger a person is, the more they eat, and the more a person eats, the stronger they become. Appetite is one of the signs of a person's body cultivation strength, testing a person's overall metabolism, digestion, and gastrointestinal absorption capacity. Today's second exam is the contest of gluttony. Listening to Audio Nova. Hearing what the true God said, and knowing that the next exam would be a food-eating contest, many of the contestants were shocked and began to think about their advantages and disadvantages in this area. Zhang Yu and Bai Zhenzhen's eyes lit up, secretly thinking that the next exam would be a chance to eat and drink for free. A buffet, is it? Zhang Yu thought to himself, I must eat back the registration fee, transportation fee, and transfer fee. Bai Zhenzhen guessed, will the next exam be an unlimited all-you-can-eat of pre-made meals? Wouldn't that be awesome? Zhang Yu said from the side, we're participating in the foundation establishment exam, how could we eat pre-made meals? At least it should be high value, hard to digest things like demon beast meat, that's good for the exam, right? Just as the two were discussing what they could eat in the next exam, Yu Xing'an walked up to them and said, this is the immortal capital, it's normal to eat dragon meat in the next exam. As he spoke, his eyes were filled with longing, and the saliva in his mouth couldn't help but start secreting frantically. Hearing the words dragon meat, Zhang Yu and Bai Zhenzhen were both startled, and then a little disbelieving. Unlimited dragon meat. Zhang Yu said, isn't that too exaggerated? Yu Xing'an said, what is dragon meat in the immortal capital? Which of these immortal capital people here isn't a rich person? Ordinary food isn't enough for them to digest. He nodded in the direction of Yanjing and said, see that number 11? He's a famous figure in Immortal Capital High School. It's said that he spends tens of millions a month just on outsourcing his cultivation. Bai Zhenzhen exclaimed, these damn rich people are really rich, where do they get so much money? Yu Xing'an said, they're from the 5th layer. You from the 1st layer wouldn't understand the things of the 5th layer. Bai Zhenzhen, then how did you on the 1st layer find out about the 5th layer's news? Yu Xing'an said, isn't that from my master? He's always been paying attention to all kinds of information in the immortal capital. After all, this place gathers the wealthiest companies, the most advanced technology, and the students with the most immortal potential, from the first layer of Kongshu. Paying attention to this place is like paying attention to the weather vane of the future immortal world. As he spoke, Xiong looked at the two and promoted. Do you want to subscribe to some pioneer news from the immortal world from me? And sharp comments from Golden Core Immortals. Paid questions. This is a new business that Xiong has recently started, which has made him quite wealthy recently. Zhang Yu was quite interested when he heard this, but when he thought of his current savings, he curled his lips and said, I'll talk about it later. Just then, buckets of food were brought to the scene in the expectant gazes of Zhang Yu, Bai Zhenjin, and Xiong. But when the bucket lids were opened, Zhang Yu and Bai Zhenjin were both disappointed when they saw the synthetic food inside. Especially those who had been eating synthetic food for several months, felt a sense of nausea when they thought about having to compete to eat this stuff later, and their faces turned green. Jiang Yu cursed in his heart, damn it. I paid 30,000 for the registration fee last time, and I'm eating this. A trace of embarrassment flashed across Xiong's face, and he thought to himself, how much did these true gods embezzle? As the chief examiner, Deng Bingding continued to explain the rules of the exam. In general, this exam is about seeing who eats the most, and the synthetic food is supplied in unlimited quantities. During this period, you cannot use spiritual roots, you cannot use mana, in short, you cannot use any power other than the body. Of course, mental techniques, as the power of brain visualization, are also part of the body's power and are not restricted. Secondly, all kinds of means, including vomiting and hiding food, are also considered cheating. Once discovered, the qualification to take the Foundation Establishment certificate will be permanently revoked. Deng Bingding said, eating, digesting, and metabolizing are the root of physical strength, and a major manifestation of physical strength. A true powerhouse must have strong internal organs, as well as a subtle control over everything in the body, and a strong mobilization ability of the stomach and intestines. It can be said that the stronger the body, the stronger the digestion ability, and the greater the food intake. This is a necessity. This level is to examine your physical strength and control over your body from this aspect. If simple running, jumping, and load-bearing are the external skills of the body, then what I want to test you today is the internal strength of the body. Everyone, work hard. In the blink of an eye, as the exam officially began, a row of bar graphs reappeared on the light curtain in front, indicating the contestants' number and the amount of food. With the start of 3, 2, 1, the bar graphs in the light curtain immediately soared. In the loud noise of splashing, a strong man picked up a large bucket and swallowed the synthetic food in the bucket as if he were a whale. With the frantic influx of synthetic food, there was even a sound like the surging of river water, attracting many students around to look sideways. The strong man's name was Mentao. In the blink of an eye, he swallowed a large bucket of synthetic food, and then couldn't help but frown slightly. It's really hard to eat. The synthetic food in the bucket was not seasoned in any way, in Meng Tao's opinion, it was like eating dirt. But watching a large bucket of synthetic food being quickly swallowed by him, the pride in his heart had overwhelmed his disgust for the food. Ha 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 ha, I usually use the gluttony spirit root. The digestive system of the whole body has long been accustomed to eating a lot. Even if I can't use the gluttony spirit root now, the advantage is definitely not comparable to others. In this gluttony exam, I might be able to get into the top 3, or even the top 2. So just as Mentao was frantically devouring synthetic food, his eyes glanced slightly at the light curtain not far away, and then a look of joy appeared in his eyes. First place, number 23. Second place, number 11. Third place, number 18. Seeing himself ranked third, the first thing that flashed through Meng Tao's mind was naturally a trace of joy. But when he realized that the first two were constantly widening the gap with him, that trace of joy turned into surprise. Meng Tao couldn't help but glance in the direction of Yin, Jing, and Ye Lingxiao, wanting to see how the two were eating. And this look made him even more shocked. He saw that Yan Jing's chest was like a big hole opened up. He directly poured the food into this hole in his chest. He didn't need to swallow at all. It was like pouring synthetic food from one bucket into another, pouring it into his body. Meng Tao was shocked in his heart, has he completely given up his sense of taste and swallowing? Eating is like adding fuel to him. On the other side, Ye Lingxiao suddenly swelled up a lot as his energy and blood became full, and his muscles stretched. Whether it was his limbs, chest, or throat, esophagus, and stomach, they were all greatly enlarged, transforming into a little giant, picking up the food bucket in front of him, as if picking up a bigger cup, and pouring it into his mouth, at will. Mentao thought to himself, Ye Ling Shao can stretch his physical structure so wantonly. Yunjing and Ye Ling Shao. These two people's bodies are simply monsters. Do they not have any weaknesses? But fortunately, at least I can get into the top 3 in this round, which is also very good. At this moment, Chief Examiner Deng Bingding said, indifferently. Some students may be wondering, why are we using synthetic food for this exam? Because synthetic food is the easiest to digest, the least burdensome, and the most adaptable to various different stomachs. It is suitable for exams. I know some people are not used to eating it, but whether you can adapt to the food as soon as possible is also part of this assessment. Huang Ziku, who was on the side, knew that these were all excuses. The real reason was to save the budget. These high school students can eat more than the other. If they really serve some valuable things, wouldn't they eat up the budget? It's better to have enough synthetic food and let them eat whatever they want. While Deng Bingding was speaking, Dai Xingji, who was not far away, was swallowing synthetic food, while secretly thinking it's really hard to eat. As a citizen of the North 6th Ring Road, in the immortal capital, Dai Xingji had hardly eaten synthetic food. In his opinion, it was something specially for poor people who came to the immortal capital to work. Now that he swallowed it in big mouthfuls, he really felt that it was getting more and more difficult to eat and swallow. He thought to himself, not only does the stomach and intestines have to adapt, but the mind must also endure this thing. I'm afraid only those poor ghosts who eat it every day are used to it. Damn it, I'm going to vomit. Zhang Yu drank a large bucket of synthetic food in front of him with a gloomy face, only feeling a burst of misery in his heart. I've been eating this thing every day for so long, I feel like I'm going to vomit, and today I have to compete to eat this thing. Who the hell said that you have to suffer to be a superior person? I used to eat so much synthetic food. It's a drag in the foundation establishment exam. Finally, Zhang Yu couldn't help but ask examiner, can you add some seasoning? Deng Bingding said lightly, no, overcoming the sense of taste is a part of cultivation, and it is also one of the contents of this assessment. Dai Xingji looked at Zhang Yu, who made the request, and thought to himself, sure enough, he is a rich man. He looked at Zhang Yu's expression, as if he was about to vomit, and thought, although it's a bit hard to eat, it's not so exaggerated, right? What kind of things does he usually eat? Is it because he is too rich, so he has always been demanding on taste? Even in the immortal capital, rich high school students are accustomed to putting the taste of food on the back burner in order to pursue scores and rankings. In Dai Xingji's opinion, Zhang Yu's performance was that he was usually too comfortable and did not have the perseverance of their immortal capital people at all. Especially compared to the performance of Yinjing and Yueling Shao, he felt even more so. HMPH, sure enough, even if they are both rich people, these rich people from other places are not as rich as us immortal capital people. While many students were frantically swallowing synthetic food, chasing each other on the ranking on the light curtain, little guide Huang Ziku looked at the performance of several students and said, the second stage is about to begin. On the arena, Memtao, who was originally swallowing wildly, suddenly began to slow down. Not only him, but at the same time, several students who had just been eating frantically also gradually slowed down. Huang Ziku commented on the internet, the so-called battle of gluttony, the competition of food intake, is not just about who eats faster. Just like what Lord Deng just said, it is about the overall metabolism, digestion, the mobilization of the power of the stomach and intestines, and the students' control over their bodies. Another minor god said, this Mentao is swallowing very quickly, but without the cooperation of the gluttony spiritual root, he can't digest it all with his own body. He'll only eat slower and slower. Huang Ziku said, that's right. This level is about eating and digesting at the same time. Swallowing fast is useless. The key is who digests faster. As he spoke, Dai Xingji suddenly stood up, touched his bulging belly, and asked, examiner, where is the toilet? As a beam of light illuminated, more than a dozen toilet doors were lit up, in a previously inconspicuous area, on the side of the examination hall. Dai Xingji took a deep breath, and the muscles all over his body suddenly exerted force. He shot towards the toilet. In the first second, he rushed into the toilet. In the second second, a series of loud noises came from inside the toilet. In the third second, he walked out of the toilet, while buttoning his pants. He completed all of this in just 3 seconds. Such amazing speed, powerful stomach strength, and digestive ability instantly shocked many students in the audience. To be able to excrete so quickly, what a powerful physique. Looking at his 10th place ranking, Dai Xingji returned to his exam seat, picked up a large bucket of synthetic food, and began to eat wildly again. He thought to himself, HMPH, many students don't seem to have realized that food intake represents a strong person's metabolism and digestive ability. And digestion is more than just swallowing food. Not far away, Menta was shocked when he saw this scene. Damn it. As a long-term user of the gluttony spiritual route, Menta was usually the kind of student who could become stronger even by eating feces. In order to become stronger, he had to spend a lot of time eating every day. This gave him a stomach that was more adapted to massive food intake, allowing him to swallow more food in a short period of time. But without the gluttony spiritual route, he couldn't digest food as quickly as he usually did. Even because he relied too much on the gluttony spiritual route, in the past he found that his stomach's digestive ability lacked training, and might not even be as good as other students. Watching several other students rush towards the toilet, but feeling nothing in his own stomach, Meng Tao became more and more anxious. Damn it. Right now, I don't even feel the urge to go to the toilet. How can I win like this? How can I win? Watching himself drop to 5th place in the blink of an eye, and starting to fall to 6th place, Meng Tao felt a sense of powerlessness. At the same time, another person on the scene also felt this sense of urgency. Zhang Yu frowned and thought to himself, damn it, rich people have high physical strength, are they even faster than poor people when it comes to going to the toilet? This world is so unfair. With the operation of the scarlet marrow primordial key, Zhang Yu's stomach was like a huge millstone, rapidly grinding down the synthetic food he swallowed. Although the synthetic food made him want to vomit, he still managed to reach a good position of 17th place. But as more and more food residue accumulated in his stomach, and the digestive efficiency of his stomach decreased, Zhang Yu's eating speed also slowed down. Not only did he drop to 18th place in the blink of an eye, but he was also getting closer and closer to 19th place behind him. Seeing his ranking in jeopardy, and feeling the constantly expanding pressure, Zhang Yu was not in a hurry, but planned to observe how his opponents were doing. He turned to look at the 19th place chasing behind him, wanting to see what the other party was doing. He discovered that the other party was Li Tongyin, number 36, who had competed with him in the previous match. He saw that while Li Tongyin was swallowing synthetic food in large gulps, a layer of milky white viscous substance began to appear on the surface of her body, and then quickly evaporated under her fiery body temperature, leaving behind patches of white marks. Huang Zika commented, "This is a digestive system modification surgery, right? It can use sweat glands to metabolize waste in the body." Another minor god said, "Normally speaking, this kind of milky white substance shouldn't be discharged. In its current state, the protein content in the sweat should be too high, even forming a tension, making it very viscous." Huang Ziku said, "In simple terms, she can't digest so much protein, and is in a state of indigestion. Then, in order to eat further, she chose to discharge waste in an incompletely digested state, which is the so-called." Deng Bingding said, "Diarrhea. Does diarrhea count as cheating?" All the gods present looked at Deng Bingding, waiting for the chief examiner's decision. Deng Bingding pondered for a moment, and then said, "It can also be regarded as a manifestation of physical control, so let's rank them accordingly." After Li Tongyin finished eating a large bucket of synthetic food, she looked at her ranking, which had reached 18th place, and felt excited. She thought in her mind, "Fortunately, I had this digestive tract modification surgery done when I had money before. I should be able to rank in the top 20 in this round. Even if I continue to persevere, focus on eating, and don't have to consider going to the toilet, I should be able to squeeze a few more places forward step by step." Looking at Li Tongyin, who was having diarrhea while eating, Jiang Yu knew that he couldn't learn this trick. At the same time, falling to 19th place also made him feel a greater challenge and pressure. But he was still not in a hurry, did not act blindly, but continued to observe other players, looking for inspiration and solutions. "Damn, what's wrong with Agen? Looking at Bai Zhen's frantically expanding belly, Zhang Yu was stunned for a moment, and then he reacted. This guy's thunder extermination, true, body, has tempered his body to be extremely tough, in order to adapt to high speed. Relying on this amazing toughness, is she just filling her stomach with food like this? Has she given up on high-speed digestion? Looking at the other party's 20th place, Zhang Yu felt worried for the other party, but there was nothing he could do. Then Zhang Yu looked at Yu Xing'an in 16th place and found that his belly was bulging and deflating, making a croaking sound. Huang Zika said in the God's Network, "Is this Yu Xing'an using the Grey Toad Key? He even cultivated such a cultivation method specifically used for digestion." Deng Bingding commented, "After all, he is a golden core disciple. Although Yu Xing'an is not outstanding in all aspects, he is very balanced and has almost no weaknesses. It's like eating, many students don't take it seriously, and think that as long as they eat well, that's enough. But in fact, having a body refining technique specifically to assist digestion, can allow him to obtain more physical nourishment with each meal, which will give him a slight lead over others. Over time, this is a terrifying gap." Zhang Yu couldn't understand what Yu Xing'an was doing, so he simply turned his attention to Yinjing, who was ranked second, wanting to see what this top high school student from the immortal capital was doing. He saw that while Yinjing was constantly pouring food into the big hole in his chest, his whole body was red, and the surrounding air seemed to be slightly distorted by the high temperature. The newest novels are being published on Li. G. Sh. B. In waves of heat, streams of black smoke gushed out from his mouth and pores, leaving Zhang Yu dumbfounded. Huang Ziku said, "This Yinjing's digestive system is very powerful. It's like an alchemy furnace. All the food he swallows is refined by the high temperature in his stomach, and the impurities are discharged as smoke. As long as he is willing, he can keep eating until he runs out of physical strength." As expected, these top students don't need to go to the toilet. Another minor god on the side said, "That's not necessarily true. Look at Ye Lingxiao." He saw that Ye Lingxiao was still maintaining his initial state of eating. Transformed into a little giant, he devoured the synthetic food in the bucket in big mouthfuls, looking unchanged, and even his stomach didn't get much bigger. The minor god said, "The perfect bloodline of the Yue family can absorb food almost perfectly, leaving very little food residue after each meal. It is said that they only need to go to the toilet once a year. The physical strength and time saved alone are envied by countless people. I wonder how many people want to study the magical aspects of their bloodline every year." Zhang Yu didn't understand Yinjing's smoke spraying operation, but he had an idea about Ye Lingxiao's state of not moving and just eating silently. Although this guy has become a circle bigger, his food intake has obviously far exceeded the size of his stomach. Could it be that he is holding it in? The more Zhang Yu thought about it, the more likely it seemed, especially under the surging pressure at this moment. He felt that his brain was turning faster and faster, and he was already bursting with inspiration. He can hold it in, so can I. So Zhang Yu suddenly agitated his stomach, trying to compress the volume of food, residue, and free up more space to continue eating. At first, this seemed to work a little, making Zhang Yu feel slightly excited. But soon, as his food intake increased, Zhang Yu found that the freed up space was quickly filled again. No, relying on the power of the stomach alone is not enough. Then, Zhang Yu suddenly slapped his stomach with his palm. Along with the sound of a bang, the terrifying palm force penetrated his skin and stomach and directly bombarded the food he swallowed. Dragon Elephant Mountain Shattering Palm Level 10 activated. At this moment, Zhang Yu was actually slamming his body with one palm after another, wanting to use the Dragon Elephant Mountain Shattering palm to assist digestion. This scene quickly attracted the attention of other students around him. Meng Tao, who had fallen to 9th place, was stunned for a moment, and then slightly happy there is such a way. He quickly followed suit, slapping his stomach one palm after another. At first, the force of the palm shattered and compressed the food, speeding up his eating speed. But soon he felt a faint pain in his internal organs, making it difficult to support. "I can't do it anymore." Meng Tao couldn't help but turn to look at Zhang Yu. Just how strong are this guy's internal organs? Can he continue like this? At this moment, Zhang Yu had wholeheartedly devoted himself to his self-tempering. Under his full attention, every piece of flesh and blood, every bone, and every organ in his body was so clear. With each palm he struck, his body was like countless masters working together, constantly pulling, shifting, and unloading force, transferring most of the palm force to the food in his body. At this moment, in his stomach, it was as if there were palm prints on the intestinal walls and stomach walls, slamming into the swallowed food. Crush, compress. Crush again, compress again. One level 10 martial art after another, plus the physical control he had after breaking through time and time again. At this moment, Zhang Yu was using everything to deal with himself. HMPH, in terms of mana control, I really haven't made much progress in a long time. But if it comes to physical control skills, even these immortal capital guys present there shouldn't be many, who are stronger than me. At this moment, Zhang Yu relied on his powerful physical control to greatly improve his digestive ability to a level beyond his own physical strength.